Hey, before we dive into this week's episode, if you've been enjoying the show, I'd love your support. Take just 10 seconds to rate and review us on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback helps others discover the wisdom and inspiration that I share on the Pivot to Balance podcast. Let's build a community of balance seekers together. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to share the love. Now let's dive into the episode. Hello and welcome to the Pivot to Balance podcast. I'm your host, AK, and I hope you're doing well. In a world that pulls us in a million different directions and with a billion distractions, finding balance can feel like an ambiguous quest. Join me on this podcast as I try to navigate life's twists and turns with mindfulness, purpose, and grace. In each episode, we will dive into topics like self-care, personal growth, mindset shifts by sharing practical insights, stories, and maybe even interviews. Get ready to pivot, to recalibrate, and find your balance. Follow the Pivot to Balance podcast, and I will see you on the other side. In today's episode, we are going to talk about the power of sleep. How many times have we heard people say, oh, you need to get enough sleep. You need to get 6 hours of sleep. And some people tell you need 7 hours of sleep. This is such a cliche topic, and so many people talk about this. But I'm going to talk about this today because I actually implemented it, and I really did see the difference. So I'm going to talk about that. First, let me tell you this. Last year, 2023, I had such a busy schedule. If you have not been following me on LinkedIn, you probably might not know this, but I used to live in Boston and I did my master's degree in Boston, and I had such a packed schedule. Here's what a typical day in my life would look like. I would wake up at around 3:55 a.m. because I thought, hey, when the world is not up, I can get a lot of shit done. So I'd get up at 3:55 and I had my whole morning routine that I would do that just made me feel like I was, performing a little better in life compared to other people, which is, I don't know if that's the right feeling, but I felt like that. And I would go about doing my morning routine, getting ready, doing some content creation and all of that. And then I would probably have either assignments or group project meetings, or I had my internship, or I would go work on campus, or I would meet with somebody, or something was happening in the morning. And then I would have my classes, and then I would go back home at around 10:15, 10:30 if I have my classes, and I would crash at around 11:30 p.m. So if you really see, if you really look at my sleep schedule, there wasn't a sleep schedule at all, right? I wasn't sleeping much, but I was on an all-time high. I always felt like I was constantly getting these dopamine hits because I was completing a lot of things, completing a lot of tasks, checking off those boxes. So that was great then. But by the time I graduated and I started my full-time job, I sort of felt the need to slow down. And if you've been listening to this podcast, you know that I've been talking about you need to slow the heck down, right? January started and I decided, you know what? I'm just going to do whatever feels right to me, whenever it feels right to me. And one of the biggest things that I've been focusing on is getting enough sleep and eating on time. I'll talk about the eating stuff in another episode. My days were clouded with foggy thoughts. I was sluggish. The zest for life was just, it felt dimmed at the time. So I thought, maybe sleep is all I need. So let's think about this, right? Our brain during sleep is not exactly idle, right? It's engaged in a lot of critical tasks that is literally influencing your waking life. And it has several cycles. So we have the REM stage 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's actually REM sleep. I started reading about the sleep cycles, and I remember when I was young, I would have like really good deep sleep, right? And if someone, tried to wake me up from that sleep, I just wouldn't get up. But that wasn't the case, as I grew up. I sort of knew that I was sleeping, like I was actually actively thinking, oh, I'm sleeping now. Have you ever had this feeling of waking up in the middle of the night, knowing that you're sleeping, but you're also not really sleeping, you're awake, and you're thinking, oh my God, I have 2 more hours before I have to get up. And then the rest of the day, you just feel just not good, right? I was experiencing that for the longest time after I moved to Cleveland. And I decided, you know what? The number one thing I'm going to do is fix my sleep cycle, hit the gym, and eat properly. Those were just the only things that I wanted to focus on. So when it came to my sleep cycle, I started obviously researching and learning a little bit. And I found out that you have 3 stages of sleep, and that leads you into REM sleep. And the REM sleep part is super important. Let me walk you through the stages. The first stage is This is the lightest stage of sleep. It's sort of like a transition phase where you're not really sleeping, but you're not really awake. And it's really easy for someone to wake you up at this stage, right? Because it lasts for about 5 to 10 minutes. So the power nap that you say, you're not really sleeping, but you're not really, not awake as well. And then there's stage 2, where we spend most of our sleep time in stage 2. Our body temperature drops, our heart rate slows as we disengage from our surroundings. Our heart rate slows, and this is sort of like a buffer stage where you're not really in the deep stage phase yet, but your body is preparing for the physical restoration. And then you go to stage 3, which is the deep sleep, which is, oh my God, my favorite. I've been getting 3 hours of deep sleep, and I'm very proud. I don't know if that's the right amount of deep sleep you're supposed to get, but I'm really proud that I'm able to get 3 hours of deep sleep these days. This stage is so important because it's what helps you with your physical recovery, strengthens your immune system, and it's also the growth hormone release stage. This is when your body is literally fixing everything from your muscle tissue. It replenishes your energies. So it's a very important state. And especially if you're working out and then you go to sleep, you get up feeling like, wow, that leg day that I did that didn't feel like anything when I was actually working out, I feel it now. It hurts. You get that feeling. That happens because your deep sleep is sort of like, hey, muscle, you worked hard today. Let me give you a massage. I'm not sure if it actually massages, but something happens there, right? And then you enter the last stage, which is your REM sleep. This is about the final phase, occurring about 90 minutes after falling asleep, is where dreams happen. And REM sleep is so important because it processes your emotions, it consolidates your memories, and sort of what it's doing is like it's acting like a door. It's like, if it's opened, but it's like, okay, let's take this for an example, right? You have a living room, you have your sofa, and you have your TV, but you need a table to hold your coffee or your water. So you sort of go out and you get a coffee table, and then you come in and you're looking at your living room like, where is this coffee table going to go now, right? Your brain is you. Okay, you're trying to go out and get some new information for your brain. So comparing that example to this stage is when you're awake, you're trying to learn new things, right? So in order for that new learning, for it to accommodate into your brain, you sort of have to do some work there, which is REM sleep. So what that does is once you have the new coffee table, which is the new information, you're trying to understand, where does this information fit? Where does this coffee table go in the living room? So it facilitates learning, and it also helps with your creativity, which is why deep sleep is so important, which is why REM sleep is something that people talk about often, and not a lot of people get that, unfortunately. So transitioning through these stages it's like an orchestra happening, right? Your brain's like, okay, you've got to restore, you've got to rejuvenate, you've got to, work on the cognitive functions, you've got to make sure that you're regulating this person's mood and almost overall health. I mean, I think it's sort of straightforward, right? This can help you understand why, when this cycle is disrupted, you sort of feel like, my day is not going well because I didn't get enough sleep. Even though I was trying to sleep for 8 hours, I still don't feel as good as I thought I would feel. And that's where your productivity and you trying to balance your life's demands, that's where this comes into play. So a lack of quality sleep can lead to a diminished attention span. It can reduce your cognitive speed. It can have a less effective memory. You can have a less effective memory. But on the flip side, aligning your sleep with your natural circadian rhythm boosts your mental clarity, energy levels, and emotional resilience. Sort of gives you that power to, hey, I can tackle all of these challenges. I have the agility. I can maintain balance no matter what happens. Let me tell you a story. I did not have a best of the day today. Okay, I did not have a great day today. I was walking out of my office and I was getting on my Uber, and my driver said, young lady, you can smile. Life's really not that hard. And I obviously didn't tell anybody what was happening, and I thought, yeah, why am I so upset? Like, nothing happened today for me to be so upset. And then I realized that last night I slept 20 minutes later than I had been sleeping, these past couple of weeks. I slept 20 minutes late. And, my circadian rhythm was just out of whack for a day. I clearly saw the difference. I clearly could see the difference that, me going to bed a certain time of day and then waking up a certain time of day and me not doing that for one day had that impact. I mean, let's talk about this, right? So improving sleep quality isn't just about increasing your sleep quantity. Okay, it's not about, oh, I said I'll get 8 hours of sleep. I was in bed for 8 hours, so why am I not feeling better? No. It's about enhancing the quality of, your sleep. So what can we do? How can we fix this? First of all, regular sleep schedule. You have to maintain a consistent sleep schedule, synchronize your body's internal clock, and that's how you enhance sleep quality. So let's say that you feel really sleepy at 9 p.m. Go to bed. Listen to your body. Go to bed. Start doing this, and it'll take a couple of weeks for you to get used to it. What I did was, whenever my body says I need to sleep, I let it sleep. And I took notes. I literally took notes on my journal to say how I felt. Every time I felt like, sometimes I felt like in the afternoons, on weekends, I'd feel like I want to sleep, and I'd let myself sleep. And I also started noticing, is this affecting my night sleep? And I saw a bunch of pattern there, and you might see a pattern there too. The second thing you need to do is, this is probably the most important thing. Optimize your sleep environment. A lot of people like to turn on their heater and go to sleep. I am not that person. I will open my window and go to sleep, even if it's like really cold out there. Not really like the entire window, but, or at least turn on the air conditioning, because I feel like when it's cold and it's quiet and it's dark, you just sleep better. I don't know about you, but I love sleeping in the dark. I am not that person that can have any sort of light in my room, because I don't care if I get haunted. I want to sleep in a dark room. The third thing is mindful pre-sleep activities. And you know what I'm going to say? Stop using your phone. Just stop using your phone. I used to be one of those. I'm not saying I used to be. I still am that person, but I've stopped, I've tried to stop this, and it's been working out pretty well for me, but I might give in every now and then. I don't use my iPad or I try not to watch any TV shows when I go to sleep, because that's sort of, that's also an emotional intake that you have, and you're thinking about something. Even if you've watched that TV show a billion times, you're still thinking about it and you're giving attention. So it might not be the best of ideas. And I'm not saying, hey, you've got to quit everything in one day. Take your time and, work on it. The last thing is watch your intake. Where are my coffee people at? I've stopped drinking coffee after 4 p.m. unless I have a really, you know what? No excuses. We're not supposed to give excuses, but I get that. Okay, life happens sometimes, and that's what balance is all about. But try and avoid having coffee after 3 or 4 p.m. because that has helped me. In a lot of ways, it has helped me. Not drinking coffee after 3 p.m. really helps me. It has helped me, and I hope it helps you too. And the next thing is heavy meals. Anything that you want to eat before sunset. Because I will talk more about this. I have been learning a bunch on this, and it has helped me so much. And I will talk about this in another episode. Just have your dinner before the sun sets. And I know in the U.S., if you're in the U.S. or in other countries where, if you're in a place where the sunset happens a little earlier than it's supposed to happen, I get it. It's like, oh, the sun sets at 5 p.m. I'm supposed to have my dinner at 5 p.m. Just maybe 6:37 sounds like a good idea. And, that also gives your body to sort of feel like, okay, this person has stopped eating. Maybe they're preparing to go to sleep, and we better, clean up the kitchen. We better clean up everything and prepare to go to sleep as well. All of these things can mentally really help you. They can 100% help you nurture your mind, body, and also gives you a clarity, right? It gives you clarity when you're trying to go about your day. When you have good sleep, it really does change everything. It reframes everything about your day. So try to get some good sleep. I don't know what everybody feels about smartwatches, but I love them. My smartwatches do not have any notification setting turned on, so I don't get disturbed at all. I like to track my sleep just to, I used to compete with my dad to see who got the highest amount of deep sleep. I don't do that anymore, but I still could start it up. It would be fun. Maybe you can do that with your friends. You can tell them, hey, let's see who got the highest deep sleep, yesterday, last night. And that would be fun. So yeah, that's all I had for today's episode. Go grab your cup of lemon water, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.